right, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Power Conversations. Of course, I'm your host, Art, Power 105.1, and we have two special guests in the building. Um, I was gonna say DJ Fresh, but we're gonna have to talk because I know everybody's been saying DJ Fresh, but I know you changed it to the world's freshest. So what are you okay by? These
Oh no,
days?
it's DJ Fresh.
Still
The world's
DJ
freshest
Fresh?
is just like a AKA.
It's just like
You
an
know what I
AKA.
mean?
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, and Paul Wall is here also. ladies and
Yeah,
gentlemen.
yeah, the junior freshest, the freshest junior.
How you both feeling?
Feeling
Blessed.
great, yeah.
Blessed.
So
But okay, what does great and blessed look like or feel like?
we got an album to come out Friday. We're
Mhm.
doing what we love to do. We're
Mhm.
healthy. Our family's healthy. We're
Mhm.
happy. You know, it's. I
Mhm.
mean, this is what life is all about. You
Mhm.
know.
And we woke up today
Yeah,
because somebody didn't wake up today.
you know, I want to let's hold that thought because I want to get to that. But first, I want to ask because when I was reading something and they said that this is your first like full length collab project together,
Yeah.
but I thought he was on Once Upon the Ground.
For sure, yeah. The
Yep.
last basically like 2, maybe 3 albums I put out, DJ Fresh produced the majority of it.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? At least half for the last like 2 or 3.
Yeah.
And of course, the more we work, the more he's like bigger percentage of the project he's been doing. This is just like the culmination of us just sitting there saying, okay, let's just do a whole
Just do the whole
project.
thing,
And it's
yeah.
more than like, DJ Fresh, his series of Tonite Show albums, he's got them with several of the top industry icons or MCs that are elite. So, that's actually how I found out about DJ Fresh was a project, a Tonight Show project he put out with Rich the Factor, one of my favorite rappers. So, for me to do a project with him is, one thing, but to do a Tonight Show is like, okay, it's like more than just a project. It's because he has a certain way he does it, a certain way he puts his fingerprints on it.
Man.
He puts his ear on it, everything. And so, for us, it was like, okay, let's do a project. Let's do a Tonight Show. Let's do a Tonight Show, one of his, for part of his series. And this is the first time I ever put out any project where there's no features. It's just me, just me and him on it, the whole thing.
Yeah.
And we just doing what we love to do. We got a great rotation going where he'll send me tracks.
Yeah.
I'll lay vocals on them, send them back to him. He'll run them through analog, run them
Yep.
through this, through that, SSL, this,
Yep.
that, whatever. And then,
Yes, sir.
we break it down from there. Even then, as we continue to work together, the more we work together, it start off as just, send me some tracks. So now I'm sending him the tracks that he didn't even produce, other people's tracks. Like, hey, what do you think about this? What order should we put it in? Where should I cut it off on? How will it blend well? What music? Because musically, he's got such a great ear that he can hear things that I can't hear, that most of the average person can't hear. So he can say, hey, this song really goes well going into this song or the feel or the vibe. So, it's just to see our, musical relationship grow off of that and evolve has been dope. And for it all come together right here with us to have a Tonight Show album, all me on the verses and, all me on the vocals, all him on the tracks is a huge blessing.
Man.
Now, hold on, I want to walk back a little bit because you mentioned something that I thought was important. You said he said you put your fingerprints on it, and what I noticed, at least I'm 26, so growing up like listening to Dedication by Wayne or Soul Tape by Fab, those tapes were timestamp markers for me. But your direction felt more like it felt different because you had the Tonight Show felt different because you had original songs on yours. Why was it intentional for you to go that route?
Well, yeah, because the difference between those tapes and what I do is I'm actually producing the tracks. You know what I'm saying? So, and this is not to discredit those tapes or anything with DJ Drama. All those dudes is legends. But my approach was I'm just gonna create my own productions and get artists on them. You know what I'm saying? And that's how the Tonight Show was born. And so that's the main difference. You know what I mean? But that's a key difference.
Mm-hmm.
That's what makes it unique. You know what I'm saying? That has my own sound and I just watered that, you know what I mean? Just kept watering that, and, understand that the seed you plant today is not the fruit you eat tomorrow. You know what I'm saying? And I've been doing it for a long time. I got 200 albums under my belt.
Yeah.
Projects, mixtapes, instrument, like everything, but all original. You know what I'm saying? So.
And it's interesting because like I got a chance to listen to it. The project sounds vintage, but it still sounds current.
Yep.
Like, was that also intentional in your doing?
I think that's just what it is. You know what I'm saying? Like I stay working, and so I apply a lot of the classic ways of doing music as far as like using analog tape and like I ran his vocals through SSL and all those little nuances creates that kind of maybe vintage classic feel, but yeah, we're both still heavily current in what we're doing. So it has a way of just meshing together and make something real abracadabra-ish.
Yeah.
Magic.
Now, I did said I wanted to go back about to something you said because I really think it's important. You talked about like how you feel blessed about waking up.
Absolutely.
The first record pretty much set the tone. Wake Up set the tone.
Oh,
for,
yeah.
like
Yeah.
everything that's going on in this world, and I think
Yeah.
that record is necessary because like we everybody is going through some shit. Like we're losing people, legends, right?
Yeah.
Everybody left and right.
Yeah.
Why was it? Like, I guess Paul, you can answer this. Like, why was that reminder necessary for you to put out there?
Well, the last album we put out, Fresh did a song "Woke Up a Millionaire." Well, he's actually singing on the hook too, and the song's "Woke Up." I woke up this morning feeling like a millionaire, and I approached the song, my verses. A lot of people think that you just wake up and when you're a millionaire, it's like you made it, you don't have to work anymore. But all the millionaires I know, those are the hardest workers. So I just, I gave it from a perspective of, I'm not waking up, going to the beach, going shopping, having brunch and doing it. Nah, I'm waking up, getting to it, grinding, waking up, grinding. And that was on the last album. So this album was a little different. He sent me the Wake Up song, but it was a different vibe. And it was like, okay, I want this the vibe to be, because, it's kind of how he sent it. The vibe was more like not, all right, I'm getting my mind right, I'm going to grind. It was more of I'm actually waking up. If I'm waking up and I hear this song, I don't want it to bang, 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 alarm, like to jerk you up. You want it to be like a peaceful wake up, and you get into whatever your grind, whatever your purpose is for the day. So that's kind of how I approached the verses on this one. Was like, okay, let me approach this one as if I'm actually waking up, and this is it. Like, what is happening when I open my eyes up and I wake? What do I do? What is my purpose? And it's. We don't take every day for granted. That's the message we want to put out there too, is that don't take each day for granted, because you never know when it could be your last. You want to appreciate who you with, the moments you have with people, because you never know when it might be your last one.
What are some things that you both think that you do to set the pace of your day? Like when you wake up in the morning, what is that mantra that you tell yourself, or whatever it is that you create to set your day?
First thing I do when I wake up, subconsciously I say, "Good morning, God, I love you." I say that every morning.
Why?
'Cause I do. You know what I'm saying? And it's a blessing. It's a blessing to be alive. You know what I'm saying? I'm always like I always say, I want to be thankful for all the things that I have readily available to me right now while I have it, not wait till it's gone. You feel me? And so, because like privilege is invisible to those who have it. You know what I'm saying? And so it's a privilege to be able to wake up and do this every day. It's a privilege to be able to come here and, sit down with Art Wall and everybody in the room, come in these facilities. And, like, I don't take none of that for granted, because I still work hard like nobody's ever heard of me, and I'm just trying to quit my day job. You know what I'm saying? So I'm thankful for everything. And I also understand that, the Lord giveth, the Lord taketh. It could be gone like that. That's why I move with just being humble. You know what I'm saying? Now, I know I'm one of them ones, but I still move with that sense of just being humble, because, like, it could be gone just like that. You know what I'm saying? So I always want to be rooted in reality. You know what I'm saying? And
hold on, I like that quote, man. Privilege is invisible to those who have it.
Yeah, privilege
That's
is invisible to those who have it. You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
we often forget the things that we have readily available to us every day. You know what I'm saying? And usually, as humans, we don't recognize and notice it until it's gone. And I'm like, nah, I'm gonna recognize, well, I have it right now. Well, I can grasp it right now. I don't want to wait till it's gone. You know what I'm saying? So that's just my mindset. I wake up and I start my day with that, with the words I call it words of power. You know what I'm saying? We all have a fully automatic weapon called the mouth and the tongue, and the words is the bullet. So I try to use my words very intentionally, even in the way I speak to myself as well.
Wow.
You know what I'm saying?
And that does that apply? Same apply to you?
For sure, definitely wake up. It's pretty much the same. I might have to start doing that. I haven't, that's gonna be my new thing. Hey, God, what's up? Good morning. I love you.
Yeah.
But for me, mostly it's just waking up. Deep breaths, like I said in the song, deep breaths, meditation, just getting my mind right, breathing in the deep air so it can get the blood flowing, the circulation flowing, getting that sunlight on you. Realizing and recognizing and actually like affirming to myself, today is going to be a good day. Today is going to be great opportunities that come my way. Today is going to be things that might not go perfect, but something perfect is going to come from it. And just telling yourself that, and just appreciating, the opportunities we have, even appreciating the things that we dislike, because some of the things that we hate could be a blessing for other people. So it's all a matter of perception, how you live your life or what you're doing, there's millionaire billionaires that are out there killing themselves, but at the same time, it's perception. It's people that are broke, poor, have absolutely no material possessions, but some of those people could be the happiest people on earth. So I'm trying to be in the middle. I ain't trying to be poor, but I definitely ain't trying to be rich and kill myself. You know what I'm saying? I'm trying to, be in the middle where I'm rich and I'm appreciative. But when you appreciate what you have, you never want for anything. Of course, I'd love to have this or I'd love to have that, but what do I need and what do I really want? What really makes me happy? That's what you gotta really focus on. That's what I focus on. What do I want most, not just what I want right now. So many times we'll give up our diet because we got a sweet tooth for the moment, or you know what I'm saying, or you'll cheat on your girl or your spouse or something just because somebody right there. You horny right now, or whatever. There's so many ways where you can sacrifice what you want most for just what you want right now. But I want what I want most. What do I want most? That's what I want. That's long-term health, family. To be able to give back, and God put me in a position to where I can show love and help others. To be able to do what I've always loved to do, be an MC, this is something I don't take for granted at all. So to be in the game this long and still continue to be putting music out, continuing to get better and improve, it's something I don't take for granted. I look at it like Prince and Michael Jackson. If God give me an idea, if I don't act on it, then God's gonna give it to somebody else. God might give me an opportunity. There might be a grace period, a window where, okay, get my mind right and then act on it. But eventually, if I don't act on it, God's going to give that opportunity to somebody else. And every opportunity is not necessarily meant for me. Even though I might have the opportunity, it might not be meant for me. It might be meant for somebody. There's plenty of things like that where I can see, there were times I had an opportunity, this almost happened for me, and then it happened for somebody else, and it's huge. Well, just because it's huge for somebody else don't mean that same opportunity would have been huge for me. Maybe it would have fizzled out or something else, just recognizing that, God has a path for me, but I'm the one who's got to take the steps and walk the path, and just trying to stay on the path that God put me on. But like I said, appreciating, just every chance, every opportunity, every hurdle, every pothole. I appreciate those too, because the hard times is like really what makes you who you are. They, what I'm saying? They make the person that you become. It's the hard times of, you think about the, some of the people who struggled the most going to be some of the greatest in our society, whether it's the greatest mind or the greatest athlete or the greatest art or the greatest fashion or the greatest whatever. Sometimes it's people who came from a hell of a struggle. So appreciating, the struggles that God puts before me, even the struggle I might have today, is knowing that, okay, this might be a lesson. This might be something that I'm learning. This might be God. It's like we come in here and we get stuck in traffic. Of course we don't want to be late, but maybe we wouldn't have been in traffic and we would have went the regular way and we would have accidentally gotten a wreck or something. You know what I'm saying? So it's just knowing that, okay, this is it maybe might not be the easiest way with the most ease, but this is the way that it's meant to be. And just appreciating that.
You said something a few seconds ago that I want to stay on. You said you mentioned about being in the business for a long time, and you both have been in this business for decades. What's something y'all had to unlearn to stay sharp in the business, and also like what's changed about the music or the business?
One thing I had to unlearn was that I'm not right a lot of times, and that's fine. I don't have to be right. We're trying to win. You know what I'm saying? It's not. I don't want to win with just my play. I don't want to win only if I make the winning shot. I want to win. So whatever we got to do to win, just knowing that
Give me an example of that. What do you mean by when you say I'm not right? Like when it comes to music.
Well,
like
I'll
in the
give you an
studio,
example.
or?
I have a niche taste in music. Like the producers I like aren't really the producers of the day you hear on the radio. I like music, and a lot of today's music doesn't include music. It's just drums, not really instruments, or it's a lot of sample and a lot of digitized things, which I don't hate, but what I love is musical instruments. That's why I love working with DJ Fresh, because he plays real instruments. I can say, hey, can you do do-do-do-do-do-do-do? And he's going to come back with do-do-do-do-do with the sound or whatever. And he plays a lot of synth, a lot of piano, like keyboards, all instruments. So, things like that where, okay, like I say, if I was to just sit down and say, this is one thing I'm terrible at. I'm terrible at picking what song is going to be a hit or a single. Man, I couldn't tell you a hit if I stepped on it. Isn't that what you said earlier? Somebody said that earlier. I couldn't tell you a hit if I stepped on it. But
That's
man,
crazy, and you wanted to be a DJ.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I know what I like. Even when I DJ'd, I wouldn't play what was on the radio. I'd play the B-side. I'd play the artist on the radio, but not the songs on the radio. To this day, I've never ever liked the music that I heard on the radio. I like the music of the artist, but not the particular song that's on the radio. So, if you come to a Paul Wall show, every single song I sing, every single song with the exception of one song, Swinging in the Rain, that's the only one where I pushed for that and I fought people for that and I knew it was going to be a good song hit. Every other, Still Tipping, Sitting Sideways, Old Girl, every single other song that I performed or any song that I was on, some songs it's going to be a hit no matter what, like Grills. So that wasn't like a me knowing or not knowing. It's like a obvious. You know what I'm saying? It's Nelly. It's going to be a hit whether I'm on it or not. You know what I'm saying? But other songs, it's like, you don't know. And some people might like this one. I might like that one. Well, they were right for the most part. My boy T. Ferris was the one who picked almost every song that was a hit for me. And, it'd be when we're creating a song or right after we create the song, it'd be like, my mind would be, it's cool. I liked it, but that ain't the hit. The hit gonna be this one. I love this one. And T. Ferris would say, yeah, but man, that one is like, I feel you. I like that one, but this the one that people gonna like. And he had a great ear for that. And I see a lot of artists that they just get it in their mind that they write and it's their art and they're gonna tell you what you like. And you can't pick what the people gonna like. And we learned that when we doing our shows from the Swisher House days. I'd have my favorite freestyles that I would do, but the crowd would have theirs, and they clearly all like the same song. So it's like, okay, well, I gotta acknowledge that my particular taste is a little different. You know what I'm saying? It's not a mainstream taste. So if I want to have some type of mainstream success, I need to have somebody else, orchestrating behind the scenes. You know what I'm saying? A&R or picking the hits. So that's for sure. When I had to unlearn, thinking I'm right all the time, and I had to unlearn, thinking that just because somebody disagrees with me that they're wrong and I'm right. And thank God I learned that at an early age because, man, I was wrong so many times. You know what I'm saying? Like I say, my whole show, I got one song, and I don't even do that every show. You know what I'm saying? So the songs that I do every show, oh, yeah, those were ones that I didn't pick.
Yeah.
I picked against. I fought against,
For me, for the record, I never said at the wall that he couldn't hear a hit. There was somebody else in the room. I'm not gonna say who.
Not that I couldn't.
I gotta clear my name.
Somebody else in this room right now?
No.
I heard somebody say that the other day. They wouldn't know a hit that they stepped on.
Somebody said that. I didn't say. I didn't say that about this man. No, I didn't say that. Yeah, I want people to think that, man, they got tension up in there. But one of the things I had to.
I think that was on a Billy Joel documentary. When I saw that.
Yeah, it wasn't me. Whoever
I saw
said
some documentary.
Yeah,
and they said it.
But one of the things I had to unlearn. I'm always a person that loves to learn, anyways. Though, so I wouldn't say I had something to unlearn, but if I did have to say it, then I would just say just learning more, like I understand, like we earn more when we learn more, so for example, like top of 2020, I've been doing music since I was 9 years old, and I'll be 44 November 2nd, and but this whole entire time, up until 2020, I put out my first album in 1999, but up until 2020, all the beats I was making were just straight sample bass, you know what I'm saying, like many producers, so I'm not knocking it. And but top of 2020, when pandemic hit, I was like, man, I need to learn the language of music. Like I need to learn music theory. You know what I'm saying? And so when we was all stuck in the house, that's what I did. I started buying piano courses and started teaching myself how to read music, how to learn music. Like as far as the majors and the minors and the chord progressions, and just really just learning it every day. And now 5 years later, I'm in the top 10% of keyboardists in the industry. You know what I'm saying? And so, just always, I'm always just trying to just learn. You know what I'm saying? Learn. You know what I'm saying? Like if the only thing standing in between me and what I want to learn is discipline and just like getting to it, I'm gonna do the work. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm gonna do the work, because we earn more when we learn more. You know what I'm saying? Knowledge is power. So I would say that about myself. Just always just trying to just like seek the knowledge and learn more and grow. You know what I'm saying?
That's crazy. That makes sense why you brought up Art Tatum when we started.
There you go.
Yeah.
Yep.
You said something about mainstream, and it really made me think about a conversation I was having with my older brother, because he's a huge fan of yours.
So tell him I said what's up.
We was having a debate, because he was telling me he think like he was like your talent is top tier, but he felt like you should be way more mainstream than you are. And I was like, you don't think Paul Wall's mainstream? He was like, not for the talent that he has. Like he should be way more mainstream. And he said he think the way that you rap is what limit that trajectory. What do you think about that?
I think he's absolutely right. But I kind of have made a conscious decision to do that. Like, okay. I mean, of course, everybody wants to make it to the mainstream. It's to some level, but I just don't want to be consumed by being an artist in the mainstream. The underground art has always been the rawest to me. The underground rappers, producers, DJs, anything from the underground graffiti writers, anything underground has always been like the realest, the truest. And the mainstream has always been like a watered down version of that. So I like to get my feet wet in the mainstream, but I just want to stay true to the culture I represent, or where I'm from, and the art that I make. It's also one of those things where I have a style of like I don't like love music, whether it's love songs, sexual songs. I just that's just not my cup of tea. But I'm great at it.
Hold on. What you talking about? Now, I just told you my older brother is a huge fan of yours. He used to sing that girl song.
Yeah, I'm saying.
All the time.
I'm great at it. I'm great at it.
Girl.
Hey, look, man. I didn't start performing Old Girl till last year.
Yeah.
2024.
God
is when I started performing Old Girl. So that was 19 years of me making the song, made the song. Old Girl is the biggest Paul Wall song there ever was. Not the biggest song featuring Paul Wall. Grills was number one. There's the Johnny Dang song with that Mexican OT, that's double platinum. There's other songs that were bigger in terms of like that, but it's not my song. My biggest song, this Paul Wall, is Old Girl. It reached the highest on the billboards, all of that. But I can't stand that song because I just don't like love songs. But I'm really good at making those kind of songs. But like I said, I'm glad I made that one. You know what I'm saying? I'm performing now, but for the last 19 years before that, because this 20-year anniversary coming up this year, it was not on the playlist. No matter, the only time we would do it is, somebody have us perform at a wedding or something. You know what I'm saying? Or a couple, and they're like, "Hey man, this is our love song. Oh, would you please do it?" All right, I'll do it for you. It's special. But now I'm singing it every show. Yeah. There's other ones too. You know what I'm saying? I definitely remember that even in my early days in the Swisher House freestyles. I did a couple like little freestyles on the F Action tapes, but and they would always get a huge response from the ladies. You know what I'm saying? But it just wouldn't. That ain't what I like to listen to, so it ain't what I like to make. And I like to make the music I like to listen to.
Real quick though, because you talk just like Trump and you do the weave. Trump do the weave. But to reel it in though, you were talking about being intentional about not going mainstream.
Yeah.
So like.
Well, I mean that's what I mean. Like I'm intentional about. I don't want to make girl music, and I don't mean it. I don't mean it like gender. Like I just don't want to make love music. Anything regarding love or sex, I'm intentional about that. Even about I just know people can get worn out when you all up in their face every day. You know what I'm saying? So I don't want to be one of those mainstream artists that overstay my welcome. I'd rather, live pleasantly in the underground. You know what I'm saying? This is like I say, but that's what I mean. Like being intentional about knowing that I know if I make song XYZ that's more trendy today, if I made, or for the last few years, if I made some drill music, maybe it would have, got me popping on TikTok, but that's not really Paul Wall style. And I just, and I'm just using that as an example because that's like a style that's real popular in today's music is the drill style of rap. But, it's several other styles like that have came and went in the past that I was like, I don't want to get on that yet. Let me wait till it leaves and then I'll master that style of rapping. But just definitely, like I say, just being intentional. I think your brother's absolutely right. If my intention was to be, that, then I think maybe it could be. I appreciate that too. I appreciate that love. But I'm my favorite rappers, the ones that inspired me, were all underground. Some of them made it to the mainstream, and they had careers in the mainstream, but they were all underground, and they're all underground still at heart, and that's just where my heart is, So I don't know.
I wonder if you feel the same way, like as far as because I know when you was doing the Tonight Show series, like you were tapping into like
is not was is.
Well, is I'm sorry, I was thinking more like throwback like.
Yeah.
Starting from 2006 when
I
you
got
started, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like from then on now, my apologies, but
no, you good.
And you were tapping into like underground artists.
Yeah.
Like, were you intentional doing that, or were you it's just because it was the access that you had at the moment?
Yeah, it was the access, but to add on to what he was saying, like I always understand that you don't get more of what you want without also getting more of what you don't want, right? And so what I do is. When I say that I want something, I look at both sides. Now, obviously, I look at the side that I do want, but I also got to look at the side of it that comes with it that I don't want, right? And if the side that I don't want outweighs what I do want, then I'm gonna do it. You know what I mean? But if it's a good contrast and trade-off, because everything is trade-off, right? All choices are trade-offs. There's a good side and there's not a good side, right? And so. I understand when he said living pleasantly. I'm gonna add on living pleasantly and profitable in the underground, right? Now, when you're a mainstream artist, right, and you may get more of the mainstream look, et cetera, et cetera. That's the part that you do want. But the part that you maybe don't want is you got to do some things that you don't really want to do. You know what I mean? You got to make some songs or some music that you don't really do. You may have your privacy so public. I'm definitely against that, right? And so. I always like the fine line of being able to be a underground king. You know what I'm saying? A shout out Bun B and Pimp C, but being an underground king, living pleasantly and profitable, as he said, and just being able to do what you want when you want to do it, how you want to do it, and however much you want to do it. You know what I'm saying? And it's not easy to get to this space. You know, I have a saying, I say the long way is a shortcut. You know what I'm saying? And so and when they start calling you a legend, you got to work twice as smart and twice as hard. You know what I mean? Which is a blessing though. So yeah, so it's a beautiful thing to be able to come up here and sit down with you, and we're not signed to a major label. You know what I'm saying? We're doing this to a label called Perfect Time Music Group. You know what I'm saying? And so it's a beautiful thing to be able to walk that line of having some moments of mainstream success and all that, but also still being very respected in the underground. You know what I'm saying? So it's the best of both worlds.
Yeah, they used to call it what that title I saw is like albums of the streets or something like that.
Yeah.
Something.
Yeah.
But you, something you said that I want to keep diving into, but like sounds that come and go. Do you think that's watering down the culture, or do you just think that's just a new place that we're at with things?
I mean, it could water or it could not. It's just a matter of the people that are making it. If all the people are only making it, it's also secular. It's a cycle of, of the sounds that were old, eventually they're going to be new again. So, that's why I've tried to like just be consistent with almost the style of music I make, knowing that one day is going to come back around. Not necessarily like the screwed up music, you know what I'm saying? Because that's part of it. The screwed up kind of style of music kind of came and made a splash nationally, worldwide, and then a new trend eventually came and made a trend splash worldwide, and then a new trend comes, So I don't mean just like making screwed up music, but some of it is if everybody in, for the in Houston, the slab culture, the car culture in Houston, we make music for our cars to ride around and show off, at the block parties, in the streets, at the park, in the parking lot of the clubs. So if we just stop making that, and all the Houston rappers or all the rappers in general that were making that kind of music for us to listen to in our cars, if we all just switch and then we're on the new round robin, whatever the new style is of the day, then who's going to make that? It's going to be somebody else, or the style's going to die out, or it's going to, when the style eventually comes back around, we're going to be so out of pocket and out of shape making it that we're not going to remember how to make. So some of it is just like holding it down for the culture in Houston. And I always think about one of my boys I did an interview with from Africa, and he was telling me about, in a small village, in some small village in Africa, they created some style of rap where they talk about this or that or whatever, and it's specific to their area and their region, where other regions don't really know it or get it, but it's so crucial and so important, because if they didn't have that representing for them, who would be doing it representing for them? And that's exactly how I feel about screwed up music, slab music, Houston, Texas music. It's like if we don't make it, who's gonna make it? And even a lot of the artists, like today's artists who are just now coming out for the first time, it's not a young or old thing, because they're of all ages, but people who are coming out for the first time right now making music, a lot of times in Houston, they're not making like a Texas style music. They're making whatever's trendy worldwide, which there's nothing against that at all. I'm not against that. But somebody got to hold it down and stay true to it. So, I mean, it could water it down, the trends come and go. I look at the benefit of it. I'm always looking for, something good out of the situation. So look, the world is evil. So if you're looking for something bad in anything, you're going to find it. You know what I'm saying?
Facts.
But if you're looking for something good, you'll probably find that too. So,
Facts.
I mean, it could be watering it down, but I think what it's doing is it's highlighting, even if it's for a short time, it's highlighting each style, the Detroit style, this, kind of came on the scene, or the rappers in Indiana that are doing their thing, or wherever, the Florida style, all the different regional styles, that kind of pop up. They might just get like, a 15-second here and there, just like the Texas style did, but now people know about the Texas style. Now people know about all these various regional styles. So, I mean, it could water it down, but what I think it's doing is it's only expanding all of us as musicians, MCs, producers, any of that. It's only expanding our toolkit, because now instead of it just being a hammer and nails and a screwdriver, it's a hammer, nail, screwdriver, measuring tape, I don't know tools like that, but you know what I'm saying? There's so many different tools we can use now, or even as artists, like I look at Sauce Walker. Sauce Walker came on the scene creating his own style. He created his own style of rapping that he did, his own style of MCing. And then you see him evolve, and you see him tap into making some soul music a little bit, making some boom bap a little bit, and you see him evolving, and he's mastering each style that he might not have known about if all he listened to was, Houston music growing up in Houston. But since these other styles, are around, he's mastering each one, and he'll be like, yep, now I know this style now. Y'all can't touch me in it. It's another one y'all can't touch me in, So, that's how I look at it. Like, well, we got to take that Sauce Walker approach where, you know what I'm saying, if there's a new style that comes out, we got to, appreciate it for what it is. Maybe take a little bit of the flavor out of that, add it to our own little flavor, but never forget, the home team, homemade food or whatever. And it doesn't necessarily have to be where you from. Yes, I'm from Texas, so that's, for me, that's the kind of music I make. But there's other people that make music, regional music, that aren't necessarily from those regions. So I don't mean it like, in that type of way. I'm only saying all of this with love, but I definitely don't think that, it's really watering it down too much. I think it's really kind of highlighting it more.
Mm-hmm.
Let's stay on Houston for a second, because like I remember in Welcome to the South with Chamillionaire and Pimp C, and Pimp C had a line that stood out to me. He said, I might not mean nothing to you, but I'm the shit in Texas. The reason why I like that line, because it speaks to how I feel like Texas is its own country.
Yeah.
And the love that they have for their own is just different. So how would y'all describe the type of love that, Texas or the South have for y'all in general?
Well, I will say this. It's all perspective. Because if you go to Houston right now and say that, I'm sure everybody in the room will argue you down and say, oh, Houston don't support each other. But a lot of times that's from a selfish perspective. It's Houston doesn't support me. But Houston definitely support Houston. But individual, and I don't mean me as in Paul Wall, but I mean a lot of individuals who say that, they mean Houston don't support them or themselves. And it's funny, we go around the country and people will say, man, we need to stick together like y'all do in Houston. Everywhere we go in the country, Florida, Atlanta, New York here, everywhere we go, LA, hey, we need to stick together like y'all do in Houston. Then we go to Houston and everyone's like, they telling me, Paul, how come we can't stick together like they do in New York? How come we can't stick together like they do in Florida and Atlanta? I'm like, man, they just told me the same thing about Houston. But I mean, a lot of that is, we definitely support each other in Texas. Texas is a community, like it's an area where you come out, especially in my era. If you came out in my era from Texas doing Texas music, you would have a career to this day. To the end of time, you will have a career. And I recognize it's not like that everywhere. You know what I'm saying? It's certain, almost everywhere else in the country, if you make that kind of music, you still got to expand and go out. Some of it's due to Texas being so big, size-wise. Some of it's Texas so populated. Some of it is people from Texas leaving and representing, so they represent for you. But there's definitely a lot of crabs in a bucket in Houston, but it's a stiff competition, and people want to make it. They trying to make it, and a lot of times when you don't make it, you're looking for a reason of why you didn't make it, and it's a lot of times it's easy to point to what you did rather than for me to say what I didn't do or what I did, or what you did to make you hating on me or you gatekeeping me or this and that. But I mean, I say all that to say Houston for sure definitely supports its own. Texas definitely supports its own. But it's a nuanced subject, especially in Houston. It's a very nuanced subject where the majority of the rappers that are there, especially in today's time, like the newer rappers, they feel that the onus is on the older rappers to put them on, where it was DJs put us on. I don't. A rapper ain't never put me on. Not one rapper ever. The only rapper that ever put me on was Slim Thug when I fell off, and he came back and was like, "Say, man, you gotta get your stuff together. Come on, man." And he gave me a pep talk. But other than that, a rapper ain't put me on. It was OG Ron C and Michael 5000 Watts. You know what I'm saying? Even beyond that, it was the community of DJs that would support us and support our style and support everything. Not the rappers. It was the rappers that was trying to eat off of you. The rappers was the ones trying to ride your wave. The rappers was the ones trying to find a way to lock you in the room so you don't get none of the shine, so they can go out there and get all the shine. So I don't know that route, and if someone can teach me that route, I'd love to learn it, but I don't know that route. The route I know is to grind, to work. DJs, I think about when we made Sitting Sideways, we first made Sitting Sideways, it was featuring Big Pokey and Lil Keke. This the first song. Of course, Lil Keke had to get taken off. His verse had to get taken off because he wasn't signed to a label, so they made us take his verse off. But my two favorite rappers at the time, Lil Keke's still my favorite. Lil Keke and Rich the Factor, they're my two favorite right now. But at the time, my two favorite rappers, Big Pokey and Lil Keke. I never had did a song with either one of them, but I sold hundreds of thousands of records independently. had songs on the radio that were number one regionally, like top number one regionally, sold out huge venues regionally, toured for years, put multiple albums out, multiple mixtapes out, all of that just to get to the point, to finally be at a level where I can pay these people to get on my song. Not they're going to get on it just because I'm just that cool. I still had to pay them to get on the song, but I paid them to get on the song. After all of that grinding of year after year after year after year, finally grinded, finally put on. I'm talking about my first Switch House mixtape that I rapped on was in 99. Now, before 99, I was rapping for years before that. But the first Switch House mixtape I rapped on was 99. Sin Sideways came out, The People's Champ came out in 2005. So you talking about 5 to 6 years of hard grinding in the studio, on the stage, in the community, just period, just to get your name out there, just to finally get to a point where my two favorite rappers, which was still they were underground rappers, so to still get an underground rapper on my song, and I still had to pay them. But I don't know, somehow it's changed to where it's now it's if you're an upcoming rapper, it's well, why these rappers won't sign me and put me out? And it's, what are you talking about? That's not how it works. I don't know that route. I'm doing you a favor by not little broing you, big broing you, and taking all your publishing and screwing you over and signing you to a 20-year deal and then selling you off to a major or selling you off to another label and you in the hole for your life, for the rest of your life. I'm doing you a favor by not doing that. Also, I'm not retired. You know what I'm saying? And look, let me tell you, me personally, everybody got a different path, a different view, a different perspective, a different dream, different light that God lit in their heart and their soul. God has never once, ever in my life, God has never put it on my heart to be an A&R or a CEO. God has always put it on my heart to be an MC, be a creator, to be a rapper, to put words together cleverly in a way that's somewhat amusing sometimes, you know what I'm saying, and just something that makes you feel good. That's what God put on my heart. God has never put it on my heart to be a CEO. So if you mad at me because I'm not a CEO, I mean, I'm fine with that because I'm not a CEO. I'm an artist. So all the artists out there that's looking for an artist to sign you, let me know when you find them because I'm trying to get signed too. You know what I'm saying? But for real, that's like, I mean, it's in Houston. It's a mentality of it's me, Slim Thug, Mike Jones, Chamillionaire, Zero. It's our fault that there's not rappers right now signed to major labels. And when people tell me that, I'm so confused. Maxo Cream signed to a major label. Megan Thee Stallion signed to a major label. Don Toliver signed to a major label. Sauce Walker, he might not be signed to a major label, but he major as anybody else. You know, so many other, Toby Nwigwe, you know what I'm saying? There's plenty of artists in Houston, from Houston. Mona Leo, there's plenty that are signed to major labels that are out there holding it down to where it's like, what do you mean? Scarface didn't sign me. Pimp C, Bun B didn't sign me. They paved the way, and when they were in rooms I couldn't get in, they would speak highly on my name so that when we finally in the room, my name might get a little respect. Oh, yeah, Scarface, spoke highly of you. Bun B, Pimp C spoke highly of you. So that's what I try to tell the rappers of today. Don't think that just because I ain't signed you and screw you over that I'm not showing you love, or that Slim Thug is not holding it down for you when he's up at Power 105. We still showing you love. We still doing these type of things to pave the way and bring attention and bring a spotlight. We at no point ever has any one of us been like, me. It's only me. I'm the only artist. The entire time we've been here, from the start, we've always been highlighting, saying our style came from the people that came before us. There's other artists, J-Dog, there's other dope artists in Houston that are just as dope as us that you might not have heard of. Well, let me tell you about them. Let me tell you what we jamming when we ride around in the slab. So it's just, I ain't trying to get on the soapbox here, but it kind of, I don't get it sometimes when people look to, I'm not a CEO. I don't have a label. I'm an artist, just like the artist trying to get signed. And we try to tell them, the ways we made it. I didn't make it through the front door. I made it through the side door. You know what I'm saying? OG Ron Z had to crack the window for me to slide in. And Michael Watts pulled me in.
Damn.
You know what I'm saying? That's how I got in again. I didn't get, the red carpet wasn't rolled out for me. There wasn't a bouncer at the front door at the House of Hip Hop. There wasn't a bouncer saying, hey, move out to the side, Power Wow coming through, move out to the side. Nah. It was a side window, side door that, we had to come into after hours when, it ain't too many people around watching. That's the route I know. I don't know the route where you walk up and you get dropped off in a Rolls Royce and the bouncer, lift up the rope and let you in the house of hip hop that way. I don't know that way. So any artist out there that is expecting me to show you that way, I don't know. If you figure it out, let me know. But I'll be glad to tell you how I made it. It took a lot of work. The work never stopped. When we got to a major deal, that's when the work intensified. The work at no point, if you look at a chart, as time goes on and where we go, the work is going up. From left to right, it's going up. It's nothing but the hard work only intensified. Even now, when we've been through the cycle of being on a major label, independent major label, this and that. I mean, we working harder now than we almost ever did. Some of that is God has allowed us to get into a good rhythm of taking care. Certain things like it is annoying to tie your shoe every day, but I'm not gonna walk around with my shoes untied. It might be annoying to like clean out your fingernails or something, but I don't want to be over here like with dirty fingers and stuff. So some of these things are, in the path of what we do at a job. If whatever your job is, if you got a non-hip hop related job, or even you here, you work at the radio station, there might be some things that you don't like to do, but it's still your job and you're gonna do them. So that's how we look at what we do. So we master these things so that we get into a rhythm, so there's a second nature that I got to wake up at 4 o'clock to catch a flight. But if I don't wake up at 4 o'clock, I'm going to miss the flight and I ain't going to be here with you. So that's just what we got to do. I'm glad to share my experiences and share my knowledge. And I know for a fact what worked for me might not work for you. What worked for you might not work for me. You know what I'm saying? But that's just how I feel about it, man. In Houston, man, the hip hop scene in Houston, man, is all over the place. Well, we definitely support our own, but there is a big sense of why you ain't do that for me, or why you ain't put me on.
Hatred.
Yeah, it's definitely misplaced hatred. Yeah. I feel where they coming from. When I was that age, I did look at other rappers and think, oh, if I meet them, it's gonna change my life. And I would meet them and give them my demo tape. Oh, here's my demo. And think, oh, I just met them. Are they gonna sign me or something? So I don't take it personal when they feel that way. I just get frustrated because I want to show you how it really works. Yeah. Let me show you how it works for anyone else who's ever come out of Houston. Because if it worked for all 20 of us that way, then why you think it's gonna be different for you? Or it might be different for you, but don't be mad at us because you know what I'm saying. You don't want to do it our way or what? I mean, I don't know. I just want to share the knowledge to I'm for sure. I'm not trying to hold nobody back. I'm only trying to put people on, showcase talent or things like that. But I'm not an A&R. I'm not a CEO. And sometimes you do songs with people. You put an artist or a producer or somebody on the song. Next thing you know, they family members is like, oh, they made $1 million off of that when we ain't make nothing. Nobody. It got 10 streams. What are you talking about? But it'd be family members in their ear or homeboys in their ear or, man, I heard he sold the show out. That's because you on his song, even though we're not doing that song at the show. What are you talking about? We doing 20-year-old songs at our shows. What are you talking about? But, people just sometimes they plant seeds and the seeds will grow in their brain and, so usually a lot of times I just don't have that, man, look, when I'm putting producers on my albums, we signing paperwork. We doing this the right way. When I get a feature on my album, we doing paperwork for it. We trying to do this the right way. But a lot of people don't do that. They just get a beat and put it out. They just get a verse, put it out, and then they deal with problems, situations. That's kind of like, how it seemed to go. But it is what it is. I know I'm talking. You're like, man, shut up, man.
No, listen, man.
You're like, hey, wrap it up.
I love when the OGs speak because it's like, I just like, we talked about learning earlier. Like, I just like learning new game. And what you just said just confirmed what I've been thinking. I think there's more pressure now to be viral than to be great. I feel
for sure.
My generation, everybody wants to be viral, but that's only gonna last, for like a couple of days, weeks, maybe a year. Cool, but what's the end game?
Yeah,
but
and that's part of the thing. Like everything that he was just saying. That's part of what I mean when I say the long way is the shortcut. Like this is something that if this is something that you want to do forever, for however much time God blesses you with, like I know I do, you know what I'm saying, but I understand is the long way is the shortcut, you know what I'm saying? Like it's not something that you just want to, it's not something that I intend to just do like now and not do it later. Like I've already been doing this for so long. I got over 100,000 hours in this. You know what I'm saying? Amen. And so it's like a lot of artists, just in general, want these astronomical outcomes with minimal effort. You know what I'm saying? And it takes a whole lot to be able to do this. You know what I'm saying? It takes a whole lot. The more you work for it, the more it'll work for you. You know what I mean? Like if somebody asks me, like I get those questions too. Like, man, Fresh, like what can I do to whoop whoop? And I always say you got to be willing to put in 10 to 20 years of being consistent and persistent for 10, 20 years. I got it in 30, and it's right on time. You feel me? 10, 20, or 30 years is not a long time to dedicate towards something that you say you want to do for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
You feel me?
That's an interesting point. What does hard work look like now in such a digital era where, you know, I guess I get this a lot where people just DM me songs or DM me mixtapes. So like, to me, hard work looks different now. So how do you identify it now? Like what does that hard work look like?
At this point it's muscle memory, but it's just staying consistent. You know what I mean? It's showing up for yourself. You know what I mean? Showing up with the right energy, the right attitude. Because it all start right here 1st. You feel me? It all started in your mind, and then you follow, you know, the thoughts of your mind, and you bring them into fruition. You know what I mean? There's a book called The Power of the Subconscious Mind, where it talks about like how your brain is basically like a garden, right? And the words that you think are the seeds. And the moment you believe, it could be good thought or bad thought, but the moment you believe it, your mind will conceive it as if it's real, right? And so it's just like a muscle. The more you work that muscle out, the stronger your muscle will get internally in your brain, right? And so hard work is just staying on it, man. It's just staying on it. And like he said, once you develop a rhythm, it's like you just in tune with it. You know what I mean? It becomes muscle memory. But just like hard work and going to the gym, it's a lot harder to get progress than it is to lose your progress. Meaning, so you can let's say you go to the gym for 3 months straight, you own it every day, right? You miss about 2 weeks of that, and then you done backslid further than how much it was that you took to get to where you at. You know what I'm saying? And so it's just understanding those small things like that. Like I know that, like, you know, I can't engage in certain activities. If I want to go to this level, I can't be engaging in certain activities no more. Or I can't be engaging because there's only 24 hours in the day, right? And we only get about maybe 4 to 6 hours of peak performance. Peak performance means like that's when your brain is ready to receive at best to retain the information that you're trying to do, right? And so it's just understanding those types of things like that, and especially as you get older. You know what I'm saying? For example, a locomotive train can get up to speeds of 100 miles per hour, right? And so I apply that same concept to my life, as in it takes it like for it to get to 100 miles per hour, it take a whole lot of work for it to get to 100 miles per hour, right?
It don't just get to 100.
It don't just get there.
Yeah.
But once it's at 100, it don't require that much more work to stay at 100. So I apply that same concept to my life. I never let myself drop down nothing below what I say 80% performance, right? I stay between 80 and 20. And I understand as I get older, if I go below 80, it's going to take me that much more work to get back to where I once was. That's where the sacrifice comes in. But that's all a part of hard work. You know what I'm saying? Understanding like how you can get the best out of yourself on a daily basis. You know what I'm saying?
So basically what you're saying, like sometimes hard work isn't, you know, them dudes who be on Times Square handing out CDs. Sometimes hard work don't look like that.
No, it could. No, it could. It could. It ain't. There's no like you got to do this, because it's different for everybody. You feel me? Your goal is gonna be different than my goal, different than his goal. And as you have goals, you'll meet people who have similar goals, and y'all can conquer goals together. But you just gotta be just constantly consistently working, I would say, you know what I'm saying, toward to whatever that goal is. Again, like in the gym, like some days you go to the gym, or I go to the gym, I may go 100%, right? I might be on 10, right? But some days I might go and I might be on 2. My energy ain't great, but I never just not go. You feel me? And so it's just having that discipline, strengthening your discipline, and just like get into it. You know what I mean? And 90% of the world is lazy. Most people are lazy, and I always say laziness is always right there waiting on you like gravity. You know what I'm saying? And so it's just understanding that like it don't really take that much for you to separate yourself from the masses. But however though, it still is hard. It still requires a lot of work. Consistent work. You got to be consistent. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's what I would say.
Nah, I mean, I agree, but everybody that's DMing me, don't consistently DM me.
Yeah.
Just putting that out there.
Yep. But even that, like,
I'm gonna start DMing you. I'm gonna add you to my DM list. No.
Not because it just be like linked. Like
Yeah.
some people don't even do it right. Sometimes it's like,
Oh, yeah.
it's the professionalism in it too. Like,
oh yeah.
ask me how am I doing.
Yeah.
I want to be asked. It's like,
Yeah.
here's
Yep.
my link. Check my
Yep.
music out. It's like,
Yep.
to your point where you were saying earlier, I can't really do nothing for you. I mean, I work at a
Yeah.
radio station. A
Yep.
bunch of DJs here. I could get them to listen to your music, but at the end of the day, I can't
Yeah.
force nobody to make you hot, bro. You gotta put the groundwork
Yeah,
in.
you got to figure it out. But understand also too, you're gonna hear a lot more no's before you start hearing yes.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? You might hear 99 no's before you get that one big yes. You know what I'm saying? And while you hearing them no's, that's making your brain thinking, well, let me try to approach this another way, and let me try to, you know what I'm saying? Like the saying, if there's a will, there's a way. You know what I'm saying? So it all counts. You know what I'm saying? It all counts towards your goal and where you're trying to get to. That's all part of the work too. You know what I'm saying? Being on stage and performing, that's the recess. It's getting to the stage is the work. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. It's like you know that movie Belly, where DMX was like them kids was trying to just get the money, and he was like put the weed in the bag, then get the money. You know what I'm saying? I always think about that phrase because it's like the process matters.
Right, you
know?
can't skip steps.
Yeah, it's no escalator, elevator, just steps.
Yeah. Real quick, do white people react to you the same way black people react to you?
It's I don't know. Definitely every race kind of claims me as their own a little bit, but I don't know. You'd have to ask a white person. I don't know. I mean, like a fan. I mean, like I don't know. I don't think so. It's like it's tough for me to answer that. Man, I'm kind of like tied up even answering that. You know, I couldn't shut up a minute ago. Now I don't know what to say.
I forget that he is white. I forgot until you said that. Like he is white, but I don't like he's culture. You know what I mean? I don't know.
Man. You know, definitely there are some white people that see me as a white artist, so they feel a connection to me that way. There are also some white people that just see me as an artist and they like me because they like me, or for whatever reason they feel a connection.
I asked that because when we were in the room right there, Z100, and your name got brought up, Crystal, white girl, like her eyes lit up. Oh, what's coming? So I was trying to get a sense of like the reaction you ran into.
Man, you know what? I'm probably the last person you want to ask about what other people think of me because I still, in my mind, you know, I grew up getting bullied. So I grew up getting picked on. I was abused by my father, you know, so I still have like a somewhat low self-esteem or like a low perception of me. So it's hard for me to really like decipher how other people look at me. You know what I'm saying? So I really don't know. But I just appreciate that people give me a chance to show me love. It's also been very weird. You know, when I first came out, it was like white people did not fool with me at all. Now I get love from white people. So it's been an evolution, been a change, so I still am getting used to that. You know what I'm saying? I don't know, but I appreciate it.
Yeah. And you said something that, because I wanted to ask you this question, and what you said reminded me to ask you this, but you said you forgot he was white until I asked that question. And I remember you said that when you were on the Breakfast Club about coming to that understanding. I guess what I wanted to ask is, you know, being raised in such a culturally mixed city like Houston, how did that shape your understanding of identity?
Well, I think for me it was like maybe even a little deeper than that. Just in my household, you know, it was just my mom and my sister, and then she remarried. I had a stepdad. But other than my mom and my sister, it was my maternal grandparents, and that's it. No other family at all. You know, I have my godmother and my god family that kind of took me in as their own. You know, and in terms of family, where I got to see a family dynamic, where my god sisters were my sisters, my god their cousins became my cousins, their aunts and uncles were my aunts and uncles, their grandma was my grandma and grandpa. But and they were black, so that definitely, what I'm saying, probably shaped me in a large way. But my grandfather, he was both my grandparents, my maternal grandparents, they were from North Carolina, and they joined the military. My grandfather joined the military, so he lived all over the world. My mom grew up all over the world. She grew up in this area a little bit. Matter of fact, the movie Remember the Titans, she went to that high school the year before it integrated. And a few of the people that the characters are based off of in the movie, she, like the real characters, she showed me in the yearbook. Look, that's that person from the movie. So, but she also grew up, going to, living in, East Germany, before the wall comes down. She grew up in Jerusalem, like all over the world, all over the country, even in parts of California, in the Bay Area. We get to go see, she took me to see the house she grew up in the Bay. My grandfather, when he went to USC, he went there when Al Davis was a coach at USC, and they were the only two people in the whole little community village that were football fans. And my mom used to play with Mark Davis, Al Davis' son, the owner now, and she'd play. They were the only two kids in the area too, so she showed us that house. So she grew up all over the world, really, but she was born in Texas, in El Paso, where my grandfather was stationed. And my grandfather, he was in the military, like I said. His troop or platoon or whatever was basically all non-white, except for maybe him and one other person. His best friends is all out. My whole life was one black man and one Puerto Rican man. So those were his only friends that I knew. He always instilled in me a sense of hatred against bigots. He'd always say that's the only thing he hates is a bigot. That's the only kind of person he hates in the world is a bigot, somebody who's racist or looks down on other people because of their religion or for whatever reason. But they definitely shaped my view of the world, of appreciation of other cultures or other people or how things are done different. And then, like I said, my mother growing up all around the world, she took on little bits and pieces of every culture that she instilled into me. But the most important one was love and respect. So definitely Houston being the most diverse city in the world, they say, in terms of, where people come from.
That in New York, yeah.
Well, I hate to break it to you. But the new list came out. The new list came out, and Houston was on number one.
Really? I was just reading last night.
Yeah, you was reading last year's list.
I was fucking with you.
I am too. I'm just talking trash. But yeah, but being it, but they do say Houston is the most diverse.
No,
they really do say
1000%,
Houston is the most diverse city in the world. So just being there, and then in my neighborhood that I grew up living in, my best friend down the street was Nigerian. My other best friend was Vietnamese. My other best friend was Mexican. And it was all type of races, all type of people that would, come from all over the world. Some people, they immigrated here. Some people's parents immigrated here. Some people, grew up here their whole life, but they might be another race, but they're a few generations back have been living here. So you see what it means to be American, what it means to be a Texan, what it means to show love to your neighbor, all these type of things. I definitely learned that in Houston, because it wasn't you close your door to your neighbor, it's you open your door to help your neighbor. And if somebody's different, you learn from the differences. You don't close the door and shut it out. You appreciate the differences, because that's what makes us all special, is that none of us are the same. And if every single one of us was out here looking and talking and acting the exact same, then what's special about that? But yep.
I thought he was wrapping me up.
Oh.
I was like,
yeah.
I thought he was wrapping me up. I was like, damn, I went too far with that. like shit. Real quick, a question as a fan: like, if you could go back, I'm asking this because I remember when I was young, my brother started this rap group called KKC, and it was remodeled off of the CCC.
Oh
with
yeah,
you and Chamillionaire.
that's what's up.
That's how much of a fan he is.
That's
of y'all.
dope.
But
Man, that's dope.
so like, if you could go back, to that split between you and Chamillionaire, what would you have do differently? Have done
Oh
differently?
man, absolutely nothing. It was destiny. It was God's path. We weren't intended to be a duo or a group our whole life. Now let me tell you, I was content always with being number two or being in a group or sharing or splitting this or that or sharing the spotlight or the stage or any of that. But God wasn't cool with that. God had a path for me and a path for him. And, sometimes our paths cross. Sometimes we're on the same path, going in the same direction. Like if you're coming from Texas and you're going to New York and somebody else going to Philadelphia, well, you go kind of the same way and then you veer off to where you're going. And that's kind of how, our paths were. We were going kind of the same way. And then when it was time, God, led us on our own paths. But I definitely wouldn't change anything because, I think back to, those times and that, God, I've grown so much as a person, as an artist, a musician, of all of these things, from where I was then to now. And a lot of that growth came from, being out there on my own. And, I had a lot of ups and downs in the music business. A lot of people don't know that. They only know the mainstream powwow. They don't know the underground powwow. But when we came out as even in Houston, growing up in Houston, Houston was, Rap-A-Lot Records was the mainstream. Rap-A-Lot and Suave House, that was the mainstream of Houston hip-hop. The underground of Houston hip-hop was the Screwed Up Clique. Then there was the Swisher House, which I came up in. Even when we came up in the Swisher House, it was Slim Thug's Swisher House. So it was very difficult to, make a name for yourself outside of, Slim Thug, because Slim Thug, came and commanded so much of that spotlight. He's the man, rightfully so. Me and Chamillionaire came in with a slightly different style than the Swisher House style or the Screwed Up Click style that was around at the time. We were heavily influenced by Cash Money, so that anything that was like braggadocious, like rapping, we would include a lot of that. That's why I would talk about, having a Versace skeleton or, Gucci veins or this and that, just because it was like part of the braggadocious fly like raps, you know what I'm saying? But me and Chamillionaire, we came in, we took over and we, did our thing. We dropped an independent album that sold a few 100,000 records. We were nominated for a Source Award, back in the Source days. We sold over 1 million mixtapes, absolutely over 1 million. We had a hell of a run, even on our independent grind. When we dropped our independent, album, we had a song that was number one on every station in Texas, Louisiana, Arkansas, Oklahoma, New Mexico. That whole region is number one everywhere. When Nelly and Kelly got No Matter What I Do, and that's out, and Jay-Z got his song, whatever was out at the time, they was number 2 and 3, and our song was number 1, which is absolutely crazy to think, because those songs that were out at the time were huge smash hits, but for whatever reason, we were the number 1 spot, in Texas, in our region. Then eventually, me and Chamillionaire, we split up, go our separate ways. When we go our separate ways, it's like you turn the switch on and you turn the switch off. Immediately, someone turned the switch off, and no record label wanted to fool with me no more. No independent major, anybody wanted to fool with me no more. The other artists were like, yeah, you cool, but as a solo artist, nah, that ain't happening. The DJs, whatever, anything that encompasses music, they always looked at me like, oh yeah, you done. Y'all both are done. Matter of fact, and I really had to just take it on the chin and grind and just work my way up and have a lot of conversations with God about what do I want, what do I want most, what is my purpose here, what does God have for me that I don't know I want, that I'm going to want in the future, how can I make these things available for me, what do I got to do, and that's when I went and did my DJ Fresh, where I mastered the piano like that, that's where it was like, okay, let me master my solo grind, and I realized, okay, in order for me to create an identity outside of Paul Wall and Chamillionaire, I gotta, create a just Paul Wall, identity where I gotta, however much music I created with another artist, I gotta create that much and more as a solo artist to overshadow that or just get out of that like light of being only in a group or only a duo or artist, but at that time when I signed to the Swisher House. I came, of course, look, just for a little background, the Swisher House was mixtapes. It was two DJs, Michael Watts and Ron C, that made mixtapes. It was not a record label. They made mixtapes. They never intended it to be a record label. It was just the mixtapes to just promote artists for us to eventually go get a record deal with somebody else or start our own labels, like Slim did or like a lot of us do. But, then eventually the Swisher House they're like, you know what, let's instead of having these artists sign off with other labels, let's sign them ourselves. Let's put them out ourselves. And the Swisher House was its own record label. So around that time is the time that me and Chamillionaire went our separate ways. My boy T. Ferris, we both came into the Swisher House when we were real young. So, doing promotions. I was DJing, promoting, passing out flyers. T. Ferris was doing a lot of similar things. We both would press up the CDs. We both would distribute, take them to the stores. We do like a lot of the secretary work or anything like that that's like non-rapper related. We would do it. That's what the type of stuff that me and T. Ferris would do. At this time, T. Ferris worked his way up to be A&R president of the Swisher House. He signed Mike Jones. He discovered Mike Jones in the strip club, found him out of nowhere. He was, getting strippers to dance off of his music, which was a great marketing ploy. Mike Jones would make custom songs for the strippers and like freestyles and shouting them out, saying his own name, and then they dance to it. So if you come in the strip club looking at ass, you hearing Mike Jones rapping about the ass you looking at. There's Strawberry on the stage, or he rap, whatever. So, that's how T. Ferris discovered Mike Jones, brought him to the Swisher House. Also, the Swisher House was a revolving door of bringing artists, building them up, and then they go elsewhere. Building artists, and that was the intention. But at this point, it's like, okay, instead of for them to go out elsewhere, Mike Jones is here, all these other, hey, T. Ferris came to me and said, man, hey, look, I talked to Michael Watts, G-Dash, we got a deal for you. We don't want to pressure you into signing with us, but if you want to sign with us, we want you to know the door is always open. Well, they just didn't know that was the only door open. Mm-hmm. There was no other door, absolutely no other door open for me. That was the only one. So I took it because I took the opportunity because it was the only one I had. But, that's what kind of, and it just motivated me to really go out there and get it. Really, and I'm a part of something where it's not just me on my own. It's me back with the crew I started with, the Swisher House, all of this. And then that's so to give you a 30-minute answer to your question, I mean, I don't know. I really wouldn't change any of that. Some of the things, I take accountability for things I might have did wrong, or I think about, okay, what if I would have, held him to more account, this and that. But, it makes you think, well, it wouldn't have turned out how it did. Also, me and Chamillionaire, we grew up together since we were 5-6 years old. We used to fist fight all the time. And it's not a big deal. It's not a big deal at all. As kids, we fight, you take my Doritos or I take your food, this and that, and you get smacked upside the back of your head. Next thing you know, you're wrestling, you're fighting. This is what we did. We were like brothers fighting. Like, it was so, me and Chamillionaire, we were kind of like, by the time we're beefing, we already both probably ready to fight each other when we see each other in person. But we know I got gangsters with me, he got gangsters with him. They might see us fighting and think, oh, it's time to pull out a piece. Nah, we fighting because we got to get this off our chest and then we going to hug it out and be cool. Something like this, one of those types of, yeah. So me and Chamillionaire both made conscious efforts to minimize anything publicly we had because we didn't want it to get out of control. We also knew that the Texas culture was going to be affected by whatever we did, good or bad, it's going to be affected by that. And we didn't want to make the Texas rap culture about me and him beefing or anything like that, or why are we beefing? Because it's a lot of why we had issues is things that most people, maybe the common fan, maybe won't understand. Well, why don't you just this? Why don't you just that? Well, it's a little different when you know somebody for 20, 30 years, your whole entire life, and, things, it's just a little different. We have a different way of doing things. But thanks to God, we got to put all our differences to the side. We did a reunion tour. We do music together. He's making music again, thank God. I'm glad he's doing that. He took a little hiatus. He likes to do things his way. He doesn't like to do things the way of the industry. You know what I'm saying? Or he likes to, or the way you have to do it. This is the way you have to do it. He likes to do it his own way. So, it's the way the game is now has finally kind of grown onto him to where he's like stepping out a little bit. He's putting out music again. But in terms of us doing music together, you know, he's always, anytime I've ever, even when he's like quote unquote retired, if I ask him to jump on a song, he always has done it. Or vice versa, he asked me to jump. Of course I'm gonna do it. It's my brother. You know, we had a time when we were beefing, but we still brothers. You know, that was all in the past. You know, it's stuff we laugh about today, or you know, we don't talk about, or you know, there's definitely probably some things that it's just easier to let go than to bring it up and just to let's bring it up and get to the bottom of it. You know, this has always been on my mind. You should have never did. You know, it's easier to just let it go. It's healthier to just let it go. So that's like a big part of it. You know, and you know, it's clear to me though that you know, God brought me and him on the same street to live together our whole childhood, and then you know for a reason. But it wasn't for us to be you know married. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Me and him, you know, even though that does sound cool, like, you know, you and your best friend, you grow up, not get married, but you and your best friend grow up, and, you know, I get married and I live here, he gets married, he lives next to me. You know, like that would be cool to live next door to your best friend, but also sometimes that separation, you need, you know, a little distance so that you can, you know, whatever, just have your peace sometimes, or, you know, something like that. So, I mean, it is what it is. I'm glad that we could put our differences to the side. And, you know, now, you know, we're at a great place together. We rock shows together still, you know what I'm saying? Still do music together. We see each other. It's like seeing your old friend or your old brother or you know, a family member you ain't seen in a long time. It's how it feels. But, I mean, like I said, I wouldn't change it. I wouldn't change any of it, none of it. Maybe the only thing I might have changed is, I mean, neither one of us really like disrespected each other publicly, but anything I would change is anything I said. I can't think of anything I said, but I'm sure I did. You know, when you beefing with somebody, you say stuff. So anything that I might have said to disparage or talk down on him, or even if it's a subliminal, I might go back and take that back. You know what I'm saying? But I don't think other than that it was meant to be. I always tease them and say, hey, man, you know, some fans, because I can't say the fans, because the fans don't want this, but some fans want this. They want to see a Paul Wall Chamillionaire album. You know, I definitely got Paul Wall fans that are like, nah, I don't want that. And there's definitely Chamillionaire fans that are like, nah, I don't want that.
Nah, my brother definitely want that. I'll tell you that.
But there are some fans there are a lot that do. So I tell Chamillionaire all the time, like, hey, you know, why don't we do it? We could do it your way. We could drop it and it doesn't come out till we pre-sell 100,000 units, or we can drop it and it's only on vinyl. It's not on iTunes. It's not on streaming. Not on anything. It's only on vinyl. Only a physical copy. And you know, we can do it any of these ways that were, you know, these are all like ideas I come up with that, like, because I know how he thinks and how he wants. Man, he ain't putting no album out so that it can be streamed for a week and people move on to the next Kendrick Lamar song that drops, you know, or the next Drake song, or the next whoever, you know what I'm saying? And that's how today's, what it is, like you say, like how it comes so quick. He's not with that. He's not doing all this work just for it to get looked over, and then the fans that love it are then begging you for something else. And it's like, God damn, I just gave it to you right now. It took 20 years for me to give you this one, you know? So he has a certain way he does it, but I tell him all the time, say, man, we don't have to do it the way everyone else does it. We can do it however we want. This could be something special that, you know, all kind of things. And you see that Chamillionaire, he dropping music right now. It's his own way of doing that, where you go to his website only, and it's, you know, you get it on this. It limits the reach of people that you can reach to, because if you working out in the gym and you only have Spotify, then you want to listen to the new Chamillionaire, you can't, you know. But it's just how it is. It's the same. That's the same thing. The same reason why a lot of the screwed tapes have died down, like in terms of the culture, because the way we receive it isn't there anymore. There's not CDs you put in your car anymore. It's all on your phone, all digital. But how do you make a digital screw tape to where everyone can listen to it? You know, what do you put it on Spotify, but then it gets flagged and it gets taken down. You put it on YouTube. And the same thing, you know, it's very difficult, you know what I'm saying? And it's a challenge that the only way I think is you put it on a flash drive or stick and you sell that, but it's still a physical thing you got. And if you're working out in the gym, it's still a physical, well, you're working out with your phone and in headphones, you know what I'm saying? So how do you listen to screw tape that way? But, you know, I mean, Chamillionaire, you know, and myself too, we both learned a lot from each other, you know what I'm saying? And like I said, God brought us together for, that's the first person I started rapping with on the school bus, you know what I'm saying? Or at the lunch table, you know what I'm saying? So I for sure could probably say without no Chamillionaire, there probably would be no me, because it's what we did together. And if I grew up in a different way, then maybe I wouldn't, become who I became. Yeah. But it is what it is, man. I appreciate the path, the goods and the bad, because it creates, what we are, who we are.
Yeah. And my last question is, I ask everybody this: what's one thing people fantasize about your life that's actually a struggle?
Say it again.
What's one thing fans fantasize about your life, but it's actually a struggle?
I don't know. Maybe I would just say that I think the fan. Well, first I like to call them supporters, first of all, but I would say that they don't understand like all the ins and outs and the ups and downs that it takes to do this. You know what I'm saying? Anytime you see somebody doing something really, really great and they make it look easy, that means that they've been doing it for a long time to make it look so easy to people think that they could just easily do it. You know what I'm saying? So I would just say that, like, a lot of people don't, a lot of fan supporters, they're on the outside looking in. You know what I'm saying? And they don't see like how much it took to come up and do Power 105. You know what I'm saying? They may only be looking at what you did the last 2 years, but no, this tree has been growing for 20 years now. You know what I'm saying? This branch has been growing longer than some of the Yellowstone branch has been growing. You know what I'm saying? So I would just say maybe that they just don't realize how much effort, energy it takes to be here, to get here. You know what I mean? To this space.
I think the money. I mean, the struggle is spending it. Because it's fun spending it, and it looks great spending it when you spending it on, flashy, fun things. But when you spend the money's gone. Then you got to make it back. And that's one thing people forget. They think that you made the money, then you have that forever, and you can spend it. You can't. Once you spend it, you can't have the cake and eat the cake. You got to choose. So I think that's a big part of it. They see the money, or they, there are big boosts or things that happen over time in careers, and people think that's the norm, but it's not. That's like a bonus, or that's like a temporary boost that's happening. But yeah, definitely I would say that the money. So anybody out there that's getting some money, or you trying to get some money, think about what you really want to spend it on, because don't waste it, man. You waste it, you might not make that money back. You're gonna regret it.
Thank you, man. Paul Wall, DJ Fresh.
Hey.
Thank y'all both for the conversation. I appreciate it.
Right on. Good soul art. Appreciate your time as well.
Thank y'all for your time. All right, y'all. It's Power 105.1. Make sure y'all tune into the tape, and we'll see y'all on the next one. All right. Peace.